Your mind is having a conversation right now that you did not start and cannot stop. Not about anything happening in front of you, about something that already happened, or something that has not happened yet. Or the 17 possible versions of something that might happen, each one slightly worse than the last, that your mind has been rehearsing on a loop since before you went to sleep last night. And the exhausting part is not the thinking itself. It is the fact that none of it is useful. You already know what you are overthinking. You have already thought about it completely, thoroughly, from every angle, more times than you can count. You have already reached every conclusion that can be reached, and worried every worry that can be worried. And yet your mind goes back. Again, and again, and again. Not because more thinking will solve it, because stopping feels impossible. That is not a character flaw. That is a trained pattern, built over years of responding to uncertainty with more thought, of managing anxiety by trying to think your way past it, of treating your mind like a problem-solving machine that just needs enough input to eventually produce certainty. But certainty is not how thinking works. And the more you feed the loop, the more you engage with it, argue with it, try to think your way out of it, the more powerful it becomes. The Stoics understood this with a precision that has never been improved upon. Overthinking is not a thinking problem. It is a control problem. And the solution is not more thought. It is 11 specific habits that interrupt the loop, break the pattern, and build a mind that can sit with uncertainty without spinning itself apart. Starting today, here is what overthinking actually costs that nobody talks about honestly. Not just the sleep, not just the focus, not just the hours spent in a mental loop that produces nothing actionable. It costs you the present moment. Every minute your mind spends replaying the past or rehearsing the future is a minute you were not actually here, not in your body, not in the conversation, not in the life that was happening in front of you while your mind was somewhere else entirely. And over time, over weeks and months and years, of a mind that never fully arrives, the present moment becomes a place you have almost stopped visiting. You are always somewhere else. In the conversation you had last week, in the scenario that has not happened yet, in the version of yourself that made a different choice, or said a different thing, or handled it better. Everywhere except here. That is what chronic overthinking produces. Not just anxiety, absence. The Stoics considered this one of the most significant forms of self-inflicted suffering available to a human being, not because it was dramatic, because it was constant, because it was invisible, because most people who were living it did not even recognize it as a choice. Marcus Aurelius returned to this again and again in his private journals. The instruction was always the same. Return to the present, not as a destination you arrive at once and maintain forever. As a practice, daily, moment by moment, habit by habit. 11 habits. Each one a specific tool for returning and staying. Pay close attention to habit 6. That is the one that will feel most counterintuitive, and it is the one that breaks the deepest layer of the overthinking pattern that every other habit leaves untouched. Before we go into these 11 habits, if you have been searching for content that actually gives you tools, not the awareness that overthinking is bad, you already know that. The specific daily practices that break the pattern. Subscribe to Stoic Blueprint. Every habit today is a tool you can use before this video ends. Hit subscribe. Let's break the loop. Habit 1. Name what you can control. Release everything else immediately. Almost every overthinking spiral has the same root. You are thinking about something you cannot control. Not always. Sometimes the thinking is genuinely useful, processing a decision, planning an approach, working through a problem that has a real solution available. But most overthinking is not that. Most overthinking is the mind running loops around outcomes it cannot guarantee, conversations it cannot undo, other people's reactions it cannot predict, futures it cannot know. And feeding those loops with more thought changes nothing about the outcome. It only changes whether you are present while it unfolds. Epictetus drew the most important line in all of philosophy at the very beginning of his handbook for living. He wrote, "Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion." The habit is a two-column practice. Every time you notice the spiral beginning, every time the same thought returns, for the third or 30th time stop. 2 columns, 1 question each. Is this mine to control? If yes, what is one action I can take right now? If no, what am I willing to release right now? Not someday, right now. The column that holds what is not yours, release it. Not because it does not matter, because your continued engagement with it costs you everything and changes nothing. That single practice applied consistently across the small spirals before they become large ones is the foundation beneath every other habit on this list. Set a worry window. Contain the spiral so it cannot run the whole day. One of the reasons overthinking feels impossible to stop is that the attempt to stop it is itself a form of engagement. You notice you are overthinking. You tell yourself to stop. You focus on stopping. And in focusing on stopping, you are still thinking about the thing. The Stoic solution is not suppression, it is containment. Give the worry a window. 15 minutes, the same time every day, during which you are permitted actively, deliberately to think about the thing that has been running in the background. Write it down, examine it, follow every anxious thought to its conclusion, give it the full attention it has been demanding. And then when the window closes, close it. Not because the problem is solved, because the time for thinking about it is over. And any thought that returns outside the window gets one response. That is not the time for this. I will return to it at the window. Seneca wrote about the discipline of containing worry with the specific clarity of someone who understood that unconstrained anxiety was a form of self-inflicted suffering. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The worry window does not eliminate the imagination. It governs it. And a contained imagination given its time and then held to its limit produces far less suffering than one that is permitted to run without boundary through every hour of the day. Return to your body. The mind cannot spiral when the body demands presence. Overthinking is almost entirely a mental event, which means the fastest interruption available is not a mental one. It is a physical one. The moment the spiral begins, before you have engaged with the thought, before you have started following it down the familiar path, bring your attention to your body, not as a concept, as a specific, immediate physical practice. 5 slow breaths. Full attention on the sensation of each one. Feet on the floor. Feel the contact, the pressure, the temperature. Hands. Open them. Feel the air against the skin. The mind cannot maintain its spiral while the body is demanding this level of present moment attention. They are competing for the same resource. And the body experienced directly, physically, without the mediating layer of thought, always wins. Marcus Aurelius returned to this instruction constantly. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. The body is always in the present. The mind is almost never there." The habit is this: every time you catch the spiral beginning, return to your body before you return to the thought. 5 breaths. Feet, hands. Then, from the present, decide whether the thought deserves engagement. Most of the time, it does not. And from the present, it is much easier to see that clearly. Ask one question instead of running every scenario. Action replaces analysis. Overthinking masquerades as preparation. The mind convinces you that if you just think about it long enough, consider every angle, anticipate every outcome, prepare for every possible scenario, you will eventually arrive at a certainty that makes action feel safe. That certainty never arrives, because certainty is not available for most of the things we overthink. The relationship's outcome, the decision's result, whether the risk was worth taking, whether the person received your words the way you intended. None of those have certain answers, and seeking certainty in the uncertain is not preparation. It is avoidance wearing the costume of thoroughness. Epictetus was direct about the replacement. He taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Stop analyzing, start doing." The habit is one question, applied to every spiral that has lasted more than 5 minutes. What is the one action available to me right now that moves this forward? Not the perfect action, not the action that guarantees the best outcome. The one available action, right now, and then take it. Before the mind has time to generate the 47 reasons why it might not be the right one. Because action, even imperfect action, produces information, and information ends spirals in a way that more thinking never can. Action interrupts analysis, but there is a deeper layer of overthinking that action alone cannot reach, the self-referential kind. The spiral about the spiral. Habit 5 addresses that directly. Stop judging the overthinking. The judgment is its own spiral. Most overthinkers have a second layer of thinking running underneath the first. The thought about the thought. I should not be thinking about this. What is wrong with me that I keep returning to this? Other people do not do this. I have been over this 100 times. Why can I not just stop? And that second layer, the self-judgment about the overthinking, is itself a spiral, often more exhausting than the original one. Because now you are not just anxious about the thing, you are anxious about being anxious. You are not just overthinking, you are overthinking about the fact that you are overthinking, and that meta-spiral can run for years. Epictetus taught something that cuts directly through this. He wrote, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." The overthinking arose. That is what happened. Judging it does not reduce it, it compounds it. The habit is a simple redirect every time the self-judgment appears. Instead of, "Why am I still thinking about this?" simply thinking arose. What do I do next? No drama, no judgment, no additional layer of thought about the thought. Just the neutral observation that thinking happened and the immediate return to presence. That single shift removes the meta-spiral entirely. And without the meta-spiral, the original overthinking, no longer being fed by the judgment layered on top of it, loses half its energy immediately. Sit with uncertainty deliberately. The thing you are running from is the cure. This is the counterintuitive one, the one most people will not expect. Because everything we have covered so far has been about interrupting the overthinking, redirecting it, containing it, replacing it with action or presence or accurate observation. But there is a specific kind of overthinking that none of those tools can reach. The kind that is driven not by a solvable problem, but by an unsolvable uncertainty. Will this work out? Will they come back? Will the decision prove to have been the right one? Will the thing I am afraid of happen? And for these, the only cure is the thing that feels most impossible. Sitting with not knowing. Not solving the uncertainty. Not thinking past it. Not distraction from it. Deliberately, consciously, choosing to be present with the feeling of not knowing without doing anything about it. Marcus Aurelius practiced this as a core discipline of his Stoic life. He wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." Accept, not resolve, not understand, not control. Accept that the uncertainty exists, that it may not resolve on your timeline, that your peace cannot wait for it to. The habit is a daily sit with your deepest uncertainty. 5 minutes, no phone, no distraction, no attempt to think past it. Just this is uncertain, and I am choosing to be here with that. What happens in those 5 minutes over days and then weeks of practice is the gradual dissolution of the uncertainty's power over your emotional state. Not because the uncertainty resolves, because you stopped running from it. And things you stop running from lose most of their power to chase you. Sitting with uncertainty removes the fuel, but the mind still needs a daily structure that keeps it from defaulting back to the spiral. Habit 7 provides that structure. Write it down, get it out of your head and onto the page where it loses its power. The overthinking loop runs most powerfully inside the mind, because inside the mind it is formless. It does not have a beginning or end. It does not have a specific claim you can examine for accuracy. It is a fog, heavy, all-encompassing, impossible to see through from inside. The moment you write it down, specifically, completely, without editing, it becomes visible. And visible things can be examined, questioned, challenged, reduced to their actual size. Seneca wrote constantly, not for publication, for clarity. He wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as you can. Associate with those who will make you better." The page is a form of retiring into yourself, a place where the formless fog of overthinking becomes a specific, finite, examinable set of sentences. The habit is simple. When the spiral begins and will not stop, open a page, write everything the mind is saying, every worry, every scenario, every catastrophic conclusion, all of it, without editing. Then read it back and ask, is this accurate? Is this as large as it felt inside my head? Almost always the answer is no. The page makes the manageable visible, and what is visible is no longer a formless presence that fills every available space. It is a specific thing. Specific things can be addressed. Writing externalizes the spiral. Habit 8 gives the examined mind somewhere useful to go. Move your body. Physical action is the most underrated thought interrupter that exists. The Stoics were not sedentary philosophers. They walked, they trained, they maintained a physical discipline that they understood with the intuitive clarity of people who had no fMRI machines, but excellent powers of observation was inseparable from mental clarity. Marcus Aurelius trained physically every day of his adult life, even during the most demanding periods of his reign, even when the empire was at war. Not as vanity, as necessity, because a mind in a moving body is a mind that cannot sustain a spiral. The two activities compete for the same cognitive resource, and movement, when it is vigorous enough, wins. He wrote, "Treat yourself with the same care as a physician would treat a patient. Movement is medicine for the overthinking mind." The habit is immediate and non-negotiable. When the spiral will not break with any mental tool, stop using mental tools. Get up, walk, run. Do anything physical that demands enough bodily attention to crowd out the thought. Not a gentle stroll while continuing to think. A deliberate physical interruption. 10 minutes, minimum, at a pace that demands your body's full participation. Then return to the thought. It will be smaller. It is always smaller after movement, because the loop needs stillness to sustain itself, and movement refuses to give it that. Use the view from above. Distance your perspective until the problem finds its actual size. The Stoics practiced a specific meditative exercise they called the view from above, a deliberate expansion of perspective, pulling back mentally from the immediate moment until the thing being overthought found its actual size against the backdrop of a larger context. Marcus Aurelius used this constantly. He wrote, "How many a Chrysippus, how many a Socrates, how many an Epictetus have time and eternity swallowed up already? The greatest minds in history, gone, forgotten by most, their crises and anxieties, unremembered, and yours will be too." Not as a nihilistic thought, as a liberating one. The thing you are overthinking, held against the actual scale of time, of history, of everything that came before and will come after, is smaller than it feels from inside the spiral. The habit is a brief daily exercise. Sit, close your eyes, and pull back mentally from the room, to the city, to the country, to the planet, to the solar system, to the galaxy. Then return and look at the thing you are overthinking from that perspective. It does not disappear, but it finds its actual size. And its actual size is almost always manageable. Choose the present moment deliberately, every hour, as a practice, not a destination. Presence is not a state you achieve and maintain. It is a choice you make, and then make again, and again, and again, indefinitely. For as long as you are alive and your mind has the capacity to wander. This is not discouraging, it is clarifying. Because if presence were a destination, a state you could arrive at and never have to return from, then every time you drifted into overthinking, you would be failing. But if presence is a practice, a choice that is always available, always worth making, regardless of how many times you have already made it today, then there is no failure, only another return. Epictetus taught, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." The present is what you have. The overthinking is the grief for what might not be or what already was. The habit is an hourly choice. Set a single reminder, once per hour. It asks one question: where am I right now? And if the answer is anywhere other than here, return, without judgment, without drama, without the meta-spiral about why you drifted. Just return. That return, made hourly, across a day, across a week, across a month, builds a different relationship with presence than any single meditation session has ever produced. Because it is not occasional, it is constant. End the day with completion. Close every open loop before you sleep. The mind overthinks most powerfully at night. Not because the problems are worse at night, because the open loops, the unresolved conversations, the unmade decisions, the things left half-processed, have been accumulating all day with nowhere to go. And when the distractions stop and the silence arrives, the mind begins working through them. All of them, at once, without priority or structure. The Stoics understood that unfinished days produce restless nights. Seneca's evening review, 3 questions, answered honestly before sleep, was not just a discipline practice, it was a completion practice. He wrote, "Let us balance life's books each day. He who puts the finishing touches on each day is never short of time. Balance the books each day." The habit is a 5-minute closing practice every night before sleep. 3 completions. One thing I did today that I am done thinking about. One thing I am choosing to release until tomorrow because tonight I cannot affect it. One thing I will do tomorrow, specific, actionable, the first thing so my mind does not need to keep it active overnight. 3 completions, 5 minutes. And watch what happens to the overthinking that used to run through your nights when the day arrives with its books already balanced and its open loops already closed. The mind does not spiral what it has already processed. It only spirals what it is still trying to solve. Give it less to solve tonight, and it will give you more peace in return. 11 habits. Not a cure for thinking, a cure for the loop. Name what you control and release the rest. Set the worry window and hold it. Return to your body before the spiral deepens. Ask the one action question and take it. Stop judging the overthinking and remove the meta-spiral. Sit with uncertainty deliberately and take away its power. Write it down and see it at its actual size. Move your body and crowd out the loop with presence. Use the view from above and find the right scale. Choose the present hourly, without judgment, without end. Close the day completely and give your mind permission to rest. This is not something you do once. It is something you practice daily. In the moments the spiral starts. In the quiet when nothing is dramatic and the mind reaches for something to worry about anyway. In the 3 am darkness when certainty feels 1,000 miles away. These habits are available in all of those moments. Every single one. Starting tonight. With habit 11, balance the books and let the spiral go. What do you overthink most? Not the surface version, the real one. Drop it in the comments, one honest sentence, because you are not the only one. And naming it here, out loud, even to strangers, is itself the beginning of habit 7. And if this gave you something real today, share it with someone who has been living inside the loop and does not know there is a way out. This is Stoic Blueprint, built for the ones who are done thinking about it and ready to actually stop. There is a video on the screen right now that goes even deeper. I will see you there.